come to Philadelphia from all over the world to eat cheesesteaks. But if you ask people who actually live in Philadelphia, they'll tell you the #1 sandwich in the city may be served here in South Philly at a place called John's Roast Pork.
Well, this place is really freaking good.
It's just the best cheesesteak and roast pork in Philly.
This is the best thing in town, by far.
Best pork in the city.
First time I had it, I thought it was pretty good. Then the second time I had it, and the third time I had it, and the fourth time I had it, I knew that it was the best cheesesteak in Philly.
Located in gritty South Philly, John's Roast Pork ain't much to look at. In fact, as we pulled up, our Uber driver said the worse the place looks on the outside, the better the sandwiches are inside. And by that measure, or just about any other, the food here is awesome.
The best meat, the best bread.
It's so good.
It's just the best.
This place has been here since 1930, and they have served millions of sandwiches during that time. And the guy who's usually making them is John himself, John Bucci Jr. In fact, he's back there right now.
Milano with onions on the grill. I'm really good at the grill. It's the one thing I do really well. I take really a lot of pride in the sandwiches that I make.
And while the menu is extensive, pretty much everyone is here for just two amazing sandwiches. The famous Philly cheesesteak and the lesser known, but possibly even more delicious, roast pork.
There's very few places that make pork our style. We roast it for 7 hours, and then it's in its own gravy that we extract from the bones. It's a lot of work that goes into the sandwich.
So it's time to put it to the test, the namesake sandwich at John's Roast Pork. The roast pork sandwich.
Classic way to get it is roast pork with sharp provolone, fresh leaf spinach that we saute in olive oil.
I want to break down all the different layers of this sandwich to see what makes it so good. You start with the pork itself. This is slow cooked and roasted pork butt. It is super seasoned, so it is super savory. You got some banana peppers in here for a little bit of crunch, a little bit of heat. Probably the biggest key for me though is the provolone cheese they throw in this baby. This is extremely sharp provolone cheese, and you need something with a ton of flavor, a ton of punch to your mouth to break through all the other flavors that are coming through. And as for the roll itself, this is an excellent, fresh, locally made bread, and I am a sucker for a seeded roll. You get that sandwich, and finally at the end, they pour a huge load of juice all over the top so it seeps into every nook and cranny. The bread is sopping wet, and it is super delicious. Now, usually there's spinach on this thing. When I first got here, I had one with the spinach on it. They've been so busy today, they're out of spinach.
We ran out of spinach today. And like I said, it's the end of the day. When we run out of bread, we just close. That's what makes our place special. Like, everything's always fresh.
I'm gonna take a bite. Woo! You guys had one of these before? Hell yes. Now this is a sandwich Philly should be famous for. Roast pork, perfected. Now, the name of the place is John's Roast Pork, but of course, since we're in Philly, they have cheesesteaks. In fact, a lot of experts claim that this place makes the best cheesesteak in Philly.
We're not a production line. We don't cook the onions in advance. We don't cook any meat in advance. Like, if you want a cheesesteak with fried onions, I'm going to cook the onions with the steak. It's all going to be done fresh. We don't use Cheese Whiz. We only use American mild provolone and imported sharp provolone, and we make every sandwich for you.
Here it is in all of its greasy glory, everybody, the ultimate cheesesteak from John's Roast Pork. You got that sesame seeded bun. You can just see all of the oil and fat that have risen to the top, and then tons of steak, tons of American cheese melted in. You want an authentic Philly cheesesteak experience? You're gonna get it here. You can tell from the way they make this when it's on the grill. The steak and the cheese and the onions are kind of all folded into each other. It's just loaded with cheese. It is loaded with onions, and they're not skipping on the steak either. This is a hefty, heavy sandwich. I mean, it's just everything I love. It's sweet, it's beefy, it's cheesy, it's creamy, it's toasty, it's really, really bad for me, and yet it makes me feel so good. I might be the happiest person in Philly. People don't seem all that happy around here. If you're a first timer at John's, honestly, it's a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of action, there's steak sizzling on the grill, there's steam all over the place. They are packed from the moment they open. You got the labyrinth of people in every direction, and then the staff is yelling at you. I'm scared. I'm hungry, but I'm scared.
It's a madhouse. There is no way to describe it. You got to experience people yelling back and forth. I need a cheesesteak. I need a pork. Blah blah blah. It's a madhouse.
So if you want an incredible sandwich in the city of brotherly love, I guarantee you will love every single bite at John's Roast Pork.